Thank you, Riv. A fantastic, controlled, and aggressive game by CLG there. What were the keys to victory, though? Because aside from looking at the fact that they just seemingly dominated all the global objectives, what was it that allowed them to do that?
I'd say lane swapping, honestly. It was a very unexpected play by CLG to go for the lane swap and then also out lane swap Cloud9. If we look back to last week, Balls averaged 40 CS at 10 more than his opponent because Cloud9 was dominating lane swap so heavily. And this game, I felt like in pick and ban phase, Cloud9 was trying to counterpick for Sneaky by waiting for the AD carry. And when CLG locked into Caitlyn, there is no lane counterpick to Caitlyn. And then not only didn't just do a 2v2 lane, they won the lane swap. So CLG took Cloud9's strategy away from him and outplayed him.
Yeah, that's really what it came down to here is they had the lane swap going for them. And usually, Cloud9, last week we saw them coming out on top, but I think the way that they actually played the lane swap just very mildly different with the shoves. Balls kept teleporting back in and getting chunked out immediately, and he was having a hard time against that Caitlyn too. There's no lane counter for it, and also in terms of top laners, it's really difficult to deal with that long-range Caitlyn. And Afromu was on top of his bindings all game long. Having this guy on a pick support is really big for them, and they really seem to come out and capitalize on when he lands those skill shots.
Of course, then they also had the split push potential with the Zed, which was a huge threat given their early lead. I think that's where I would probably point at them playing their composition so well. The early rotations by Doublelift opening up the map to then say, all right, let's throw Zed in the bot lane, put that damage on that bottom turret, which then netted them the in-hid turret later in the game when they were having a standoff.
Yeah, I'd say it was a level of coordination we haven't necessarily seen from CLG that much in the past. Cloud9 had a few misplays, but that was also kind of similar to what we saw yesterday when CLG played Team Impulse, was they're forcing the other team to react to them. The number of times Afromu came mid lane on Morgana, landed the binding onto high, and then put him in a greater deficit was too many for me to count off the top of my head. He was just landing binding after binding.
Well, maybe we can help with that. We do have a replay. We have a little video package here of the Morgana bindings that were landed during this game. We're going to pull that up on your screen for you. Just because it was such a huge factor in winning the game, both the threat of the bindings, but then the fact that he had the accuracy to hit so many of them.
Let's see how many we got here.
This roll off the clip now, yeah.
This one was awesome because he knew High had nowhere to go. He did a mini step backwards because that's going to get hit by the death mark, and he cut him off this time. Every single one of these by Afromu were either using Fog of War and also predicting where High was going to be going. He had no vision of that. That binding was basically in the wall the entire time. He also used the minion wave. This one was just a nice shot. Again, not knowing where, or cutting the person off from where they're trying to go. If he jumps backwards, he's getting hit by Caitlyn. If he goes forwards, he gets hit by the binding.
Right, using them to zone as well. And then also utilizing the geography of the map to hide the bindings. Shooting them through turrets rather than out in the open makes it much harder for a player to react to the incoming CC.
Yeah, they're putting him in bad situations. Basically, you couldn't choose a right option. There was no right option in a lot of those situations just from dodging bindings and also playing the map.
They also had early dragon control, as Kobe pointed out, taking that early 6-minute. So, and that's what also is phenomenal about the way they played the game, because generally we see teams choosing between turrets and dragons. Yeah. CLG managed to take 4 turrets to 1, as well as 2 dragons in the early game.
Yeah, they got every dragon that game, and then when they forced C9, like I was saying, in bad situations, C9's like, we have to do a Baron right now. There's nothing we can really do. They came up, they stopped it. There was kind of like an even trade there, and then they had to go back to the scene of the crime. Doublelift does the last dragon as they're fighting it 4v5, and they take over the game there. So they were forcing them in really bad situations off of the plays that they made early, and then just kept perpetuating that.
To be fair, there were glimpses of the Cloud9 team fighting prowess. We do have a replay. We're going to pull it up. It's a mid-team fight where they end up trading 1-for-1, and I feel like it's the setup. It's Cloud9's setup allowing them to pick the correct fight. As you mentioned later in the games, Irene, they weren't afforded that opportunity. We're going to pull that up on your screen right now. Irene, I'll let you walk through it for us.
The big thing that actually stands out to me here is Smithy's target selection. He goes after Balls here, and Balls is still in mini Gnar for basically the entire fight until the end where he gets a nice Gnar off. We start rolling the clip out here, and you're going to see they start grouping up high. He goes after Zion, and they get Zion in a situation where he has to blow his Zonias, and then Smithy's like, go after Balls. Everybody's like, let's get on Balls here. Death mark on Balls. No real damage to him for the most part, and that's what ends up giving Cloud9 that early kill, is they focused a priority target, whereas Balls really isn't a priority target.
they also had a bit of the, they set it up with the poke, as you said, damaging outer priority targets, so that therefore they had the option to be more of a threat in the team fight. Kind of put CLG on the back foot there. It definitely showed CLG's power, though, in that they came out of that still 1-for-1.
Well, in general, it kind of showed how the game, as clean as CLG played it, was not fully in control until they made a few nicer plays. I know the fight afterwards where they were able to kill high for killing doublelift and took the 2 inhibitors was really the defining moment. But that one, it's not all roses for CLG. They did misplay that team fight a little bit, and there was a danger of them giving the game back to Cloud9, considering all the strong plays CLG made throughout it, from the lane swaps, the Caitlyn pick, the Zed split pushing, everything they were doing to get that lead. You got to be careful in League of Legends, because they almost messed up there.
Yeah, you had to be extremely careful. And in that fight, if they had been even in gold at that point, that would have been a fight for Cloud9, because CLG were pretty much given that wiggle room because of how well they played the early game and mid game.
Absolutely. But credit to CLG again, though, because they secured that gold lead for themselves and played the composition properly. I think that's what the big takeaway here is, that we are watching a team execute on what they decided they were going to do in Champions Select.
Yeah. I love the fact that they went with the split push as much as they could, and the threat of Link in the mid lane. We're like, we're going to camp this Zed. The Zed is going to be able to deal with people, and Link actually completely just played to the win condition of Zed, kept picking off high, making his life pretty much a living hell. And every time Afro moves, like, I'm going to bind, I'm going to roam, I'm going to play this champion the way it was made to be played as a support. And then they team fought every now and then with Zion, but they kind of avoided those as much as they could against Cloud9. I thought that was exactly how you should play the composition, and it was really well done by all of CLG.
A solid win for CLG. Still a bit of a struggle here for Cloud9, but you guys, we've got more games to come today, so top off the guac, grab a drink, and meet us right back here in 3.5 for our next match, which is Dignitas versus WinterFox. You're watching the North American LCS.
Our first match, Counter Logic Gaming versus Cloud9, is going to be a wonderful match. Of course,
Oh, wow. Binding! So many ults, it's all it's going to take. Goodbye! He's got to outplay the death mark. Can he do it? High, dashes around, gets into the fog, and they get the kill.
Back up. Rumbles coming. We can do it still. Take it slow. Nice kill. I'm binding right here on Bar. No. I'm coming long. Nice ulti.
So now can they keep fighting? Elimination losing so much health. Ball's likely to die from the Zed. They switch over to Sneaky. So far, Nara's dropped down. CLG fans, here's the team you guys were waiting for.